Hello and welcome back to the channel where we are building a video game from scratch using Love2d and Lua. Yesterday we got some work done with like a help menu for our game, so if we type H for help, we can get some help on the screen. So what would be nice is if we could kind of get this working on the mobile deployment as well, because right now the mobile deployment doesn't have any way to listen for an H key toggle press. So I think this is a perfect excuse to use our select button or something, and then we can test the mobile deployment for doing some more interactive stuff. So I'll show you guys how that's gonna pan out, and I'll show you a new tool I just made to get our deployment up to the website a little easier for us. So one thing I do want to check is last time we forgot to set this scale factor down to 2. I believe 2 was the nice scale factor for a mobile deployment. So I think that's about right. Hey, what's up, K-Tron? I think we forgot to do this last time, but there's a couple of steps for our mobile deployment that we want to make sure. It's like we want to make sure it's not full screen. And we want to make sure the scale factor is set. So let's try to do this. Now, I do want to eventually, I want to move over to, well, here, I'll just walk through the how to do it, and then I'll walk through what I want to do differently. So we're going to commit here saying that we're going to do and you know what? I want the touch detection to toggle for the mobile deployment for the help. So if we look at our help, what do we call it? Help state? Something like that. It's in our play state. It's just like a very simple render in our play state for our help. What is it called? Toggle help. Okay. Toggle help. So we want to essentially toggle this help upon a button press for select. Finishing one of your finals. No, Katron, sadly, I did not get... I went to sleep early. I just did not sleep great, so I still feel just tired, but it's okay. I hope your finals... wait, so what? I thought you were done, though. I thought you finished your class. Or like, what final are you taking? Because I thought you just started classes. I did spend some time today transferring some of my college credits over to the community college, and depending on, I've got one last thing I'm trying to switch over for my lab science credits, but as of right now, I'm halfway done with computer science associates at the community college. So if my lab science can get transferred, that's like 4 more credits. And then I'll be more than halfway towards my computer science degree. So I'm excited about that. I think I'm gonna try to knock that out in the coming years. Okay. Well, hey, good luck on that, dude. I hope I don't distract you. Okay, so we basically need to toggle this help if our touch is detected. So right now, this is a little tricky because this exists in the play state, and this toggle help is local to this play state. So one tricky thing is that our touch detection is still here in our main. So all of these, at least they're global though. It's a global D-pad object full of these touch detection. So we should have, see, like right here, we're asking if the global D-pad We're actually just rendering everything. So I guess what we want to do is we're already rendering the D-pads. We want to do something kind of similar, but we want to say if any of the D-pads is pressed, then we want to go ahead and toggle this help. So we can do... hey, that's nice. I'm glad the music's relaxing. I do want to switch it up soon because I haven't changed the music in quite a while. But also it took me a couple of iterations to get this one, so I might try to experiment and try to start one from scratch, but it does take a little bit to get it sounding how I'd like. So I feel like we'd want to make our toggle help a global so that we can access it in our main. Because if we do this, then the only thing that needs to happen is we need a toggle help not only upon a H press, but upon a H or upon a select touch. So H, where is it? H. Gosh, I don't even see where we put it. It's... Oh, this is... Okay, this is wrong. We don't even have this anymore. This was part of our boilerplate. Okay, it's literally just the first thing in the play state. Okay. So I think we want to... We can keep this in the play state. It's just that we need to listen for a dot pressed. We need to see if the select is pressed and then do the same ternary operators to go toggle our help on and off. So we need to cycle through our we call it button in iPair's D-pad because D-pad holds all the touch objects. We can do our for button in pairs in iPair's D-pad. Why is that mad? Oh, we have to give a... For index button in pairs D-pad. Okay. We want to see... we don't want to check any button for a pressed to toggle this. We want to check if the specific button is pressed, right? So if we look at our main, our select button... Oh gosh, we did it wrong here. But start will be the left button. No, start will be the right button. Select will be the left. So... we can say that this is select because this is lefter on the X, so we know that's the left button. We want to count how many this is, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's the 11th D-pad object. So we just want to check the 11th D-pad object if it's touched. So we'll go to our play state here, and we don't want to cycle through them all. We just want to check if D-pad at index 11 dot pressed then we want to do the same help toggle. Okay, I'm hoping that'll work. We can test it on the phone once we deploy, and I'll show everyone. The steps for it are a lot simpler now. I made a bash script for it, but let's go ahead and commit, and we'll do a commit like this, saying add help toggle to mobile with smaller scale factor for deployment. Okay. Then that is a add and commit, so we still want to push. Okay, we're good. So I'll swap over to the Mac. Now, there's a couple reasons why I'm on the Mac here for the deployment. One is, I guess the main one is that to send my files to my website, I'm using an SFTP server connection to send it from WebStorm up to my server. So that's the reason I'm kind of doing it here on the Mac. But ideally, we figure out how to bash script an SFTP file send over to our server from Windows Subsystem for Linux, so we can do it all just right in the system, and I don't have to plug in the Mac into the Elgato capture card and do all this stuff. But this is cool. I still do like this, but it's a little more to set up. What's up, Leva? How's it going? Yeah, Jimmy's up there. Jimmy's up there saying hi. Okay, so this is the technology I have built. It is just a bash script. So this is just automating as much of the steps as possible to get the current get build pushed up to my website. So what we've got is we delete the build if we have it. We recompile and rezip our .love file. And then we go into the Love.js folder. Actually, we moved the build file we just made into the Love.js file folder, and then we go into that folder. We remove the current build if it's in there, and then this is running Love.js with our current build, putting it into a folder called Tashio and creating it if it doesn't exist, and we're removing that folder so that we don't have the old build on there. And then we move the love file into that folder because our deployment needs that love file. Then we go into that folder, and then we copy over the 5 folders we need into our WebStorm folder for the deployment. So we just move the .love, the game data, the game.js, the WebAssembly, and the Love.js. We just move those 5 files into our folder, and then our game should be ready for deployment. So what this looks like in practice is here. We might have to, we will have to stash our changes. And then what we can do is pull the most recent change that we just did on our other computer. And if we get log, we'll see that we added help toggle. Oh, this is wrong. This is wrong because we are not on the mobile test anymore. We have to switch to our main branch and then get pull. Sweet. So now if we get log, we've got the one we just committed, which is adding help toggle to mobile with smaller scale factor for deployment. So here's how easy it is. Ready for the build script? I type in build, and I'll show you guys. Here is the folder deployment for the website for the game demo. And I'm going to go ahead and delete all the game files, but keep the HTML and CSS. So I'm just going to delete those. And then all I'm going to do is run our build script in our Git repo. And then boom, we got those 5 files. So we got the build, we got the Love.js assembly. It's all in that folder ready for deployment. So we just come over here to WebStorm, and we can deploy our files to our web server just like this. Boop, boop. Then hopefully with any luck, oh, come on. Could not copy love. All right, I just did it again and then it worked. So I do want to check it on the phone because that is what we're testing, right? We're testing if the select button is using it. So what we'll do here is come over here. We go to tashio.dev. It runs, it's at the proper scale. We probably, you know, I'm on a small iPhone, so it is pretty small. But let's see if we toggle. Look at that. Okay. So the hold is not good, but we can toggle it. Well, yeah, depending how long we hold it for, we can toggle it. Oh god. Okay. So it's not that if it's pressed, we don't want to toggle it. It's that, yeah, because it's right to be messing up like this. You know, we only want to toggle it not if it's pressed, but if how would we do this? How would we only switch it once upon a press? It's kind of the same problem we have with the sound that's playing, right? If we hold A, it'll play the spellcast sound 60 times a second, which is not what we want. And this is actually running at 30 frames per second, which I'm a little confused why it's at 30 today. Yesterday it was at 60. So maybe the scale factor has something to do with it. But the buttons are working on the mobile deployment. You know, it's really easy to get it deployed to the website, which is really cool. But yeah, we need to figure this out. Like, how would we say only toggle it? Maybe we toggle it upon a release. If we're colliding, if our touch is colliding. Okay. We can do an on press, right? Because we're tracking our touches and we are tracking the touch detection objects, and our on pressed, I think it's on pressed, gets called once as a callback. So I think we can toggle this only upon the on press, and that only happens once upon the initial press, right? So it's like if on the initial press we're colliding with the D-pad 11 object, then go ahead and toggle the help screen. And then that way, when you hold it, it doesn't flip out like that. So we can try that. It's just that our on press, I want to say, or is it on press? I know we've defined our touches. I thought right here. Touch pressed. That's what it is. Yeah, touch pressed. Close, Kachon. Yeah, it's this touch press. Key pressed is the one for desktop, but touch pressed is the callback for touches. So we do translate the touches position to be the resized position, so that's good. It updates our touch. So how would we say? Yeah, I think we can say, oh gosh, because this is different than a normal function in the sense that this just gets called anytime there is a touch press function. So I don't know where we would check the collision here. Because like this isn't like a boolean or anything. This is just what's getting called whenever a touch press is invoked. So I'm not exactly sure how we can do it. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. Let's see how we're populating the touches. Well, it's getting populated by that callback anyway, so that's just how it's getting populated. So, see, and I don't really want to check, I don't really want to check every single touch press to see if it's colliding with the select button. So how would we ideally we can just cycle through the touches that do exist and check for the collision with the D-pad 11 touch box. And if it is colliding, we would only want to swap it once. See, and that's the issue, is like the ternary is... Yeah, you know, I'm thinking about that, Katron, about the touch released, but the problem with that is once the touch is released, we delete the touch. So if we try to do it upon the release, we delete it the instant it's released, so we can't check for collision for the touch and the box. So that's the only thing I'm thinking, like, is just not so possible. And it's tough, right? Because we can't... If our device here was a touch device, we can iterate it real quick, but we don't have that ability. We'd have to either deploy it to our website real quick or use Xcode and put the mobile.love onto our phone device and try it there, but it's still, you know, a little bit of a hassle. So let's try to do... I mean, I guess let's just try to think about how we would only toggle it if... yeah, it's like... Because I guess the question too is like, do we want to toggle it if you touch, say, the D-pad and drag your finger down to the select button? It would detect a touch to select button collision, but is that enough to actually trigger the help menu, or does it need to actually be pressed? So I guess what we could do is instead of doing the ternary operator, has triggered, like, because the issue here, Katron, is like it goes 60 times a second. So if we do a has triggered and do a ternary only if it hasn't been triggered, then still every other frame it would flip back and forth. So we need to figure something out. Let's go to where we're doing it and see if we can get any ideas. Because the issue is when the button's pressed, we're just doing this 60 times a second, flipping it, right? So we only want to... I guess what we can do... we could add a state to the button itself of, like you're saying, Katron, of like a has triggered, like just a Boolean. You know, if the D-pad 11 is in help mode already. Well, no, it's just the same problem, because then it's like we only want to flip this if it is pressed, if the touch pressed. So let's see if we can add, I don't know if it works like that. Let's see if the documentation has anything about touch pressed. Yeah, see, it returns nothing, so we can't say if the touch pressed at ID is colliding with the thing. Hey, Warren, how's it going? Hey, I've been good. I've been, like, just low energy lately, but I think it's just because I'm doing too much, you know, with work and learning and streaming. It's just a lot. But I've been doing good. We've got the game deployed to our website. So you can go to tashio.dev and play the current build in the website. So you can use the keys to come and play this. So I'm really excited about this. And we've got like a nice workflow to kind of like deploy the builds really easily to the website. But right now we're trying to work on, and I can't demonstrate on here, but the touch controls for mobile. We're trying to work on some toggling for like a help mode. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no. So the boot camp was absolutely fantastic. I had done some web development programming in the past decade for whatever, but I really didn't like it for mainly because it was so tedious. But this boot camp gave me a ton of tools that I'm able to like now do stuff like this, like just put our game on our web server that we're hosting. So it taught me a bunch of stuff. So like I rehauled my main website. I made a full stack application. I made a little like portfolio website with like demos and stuff, and made like executable builds for all my games and whatnot. The biggest thing though is just giving me the confidence to use modern web dev tools and to teach me like how web servers work and deploying actual applications to the web. I made this program for work that solves some problems for work, and I just deployed it to a website, and I told my work, I'm like, hey, if like you guys can come here and type in here and it'll make these files for you. And it, just like the power to do a thing like that is just really cool. So I had a great time with it. I've been applying for jobs in the programming field. I had one interview so far. It went really well. I had to actually turn down the offer I got because it just didn't quite fit with what I wanted for the future. But it gave me a lot of confidence because the interview went well and I was able to, I actually felt really confident throughout. So it was good practice. But I'm still looking for the job that's right, which is more of a working with a bigger team. So the one I turned down, it was just like, it was a team of 2 people, but they were both doing their own thing. So it's like, I kind of wanted to be on a team with a lot of people where I can just kind of like learn a lot of stuff. So we'll see. I've got another interview coming up that is a better fit for me, but it's always tough to turn down an offer because, turning down a sure thing for a might thing is tough. But yeah, we're trying to, I don't know what the move is here. I'm sure there is an easy situation to fix this. I am just not so sure. The issue is, we're toggling help over and over and over again when the button's pressed. So Katron, I think you might be right. I think you might be right in the sense that, and it's tough because Warren, it was a part-time internship, so it didn't pay that great, which is okay because it's entry-level position, but just the juggling I'd have to do with my current job to fit in this part-time job, and it's only a 10-week internship, I just felt like it would be more stress, and I'm building enough stuff as is on my own that I feel like I'm getting enough practice anyway, so I feel like I can afford to wait for the right opportunity. But that's famous last words, right? So it's tough. But work is going good. Work is stable right now for me, so it's like I would have to take a big pay cut, and then just like instability for my work going forward for that 10 weeks. It was just too much stress, I think. And then a big reason why I'm feeling so low energy is just because of all this stress about the uncertainty of my future and job and stuff. So it's a lot to go through, but we're getting through. I think Katron, I think you're right actually. Like we can add a has triggered to the button press. I think what we can do is crap. I think there's a way to do it. Like I think we can do when do we go and say that the dot pressed is true? We say right here if it collides. So we could have a something here like oh, see, and then it gets tricky because I want to say that we can do Ktrons like has triggered here and say like at this point you know, it's not quite I was just looking at the documentation when you came in and the function, it's like a callback function for the touch detection, which is different than the key detection, but it doesn't return any values. So it just gets called anytime there is a press, but there's no other thing to do that. So maybe and the thing is I don't want to clog down the callback function with a bunch of tests to see if it was colliding with a, you know what, we might just have to do that because the thing I'm thinking of now to try to implement Ktrons has triggered is kind of doing the same thing where we'd have to say that the button is triggered on a touch and then it's too much. I think we're gonna try to do it upon the callback, and we'll just see how that goes. Like we can see, so our touches objects have a collide function, and it takes in an object which we will pass in our select button, and we'll say if we're colliding with our D-pad 11, then go ahead and toggle our help right here. Where are we? We're in the callback for our touch pressed. Okay. So we can say this. We can say, okay, if the button that was just pressed is colliding with our select button, then we're going to toggle that. Now this should stop it from flickering because this only gets called once upon the initial touch. So this would block it from swapping if we touch and drag from the D-pad to the select button, but it would toggle if we let go and then press. Only upon a press on that button will it toggle that help. I think. So let's try to do this, and then instead of deploying to the website, we'll just deploy to our phone and we'll try it that way, and then by the end of the episode, if we're in a stable state, we'll redeploy to the website. But let's see here. We'll commit with a message saying add help toggle to touch press callback. And then we'll see if that works. It's so tough because we can't test, we can't test on this machine for that touch. So we have to come over here and try it. So let's see. What we have to do is just drag and drop it onto our phone here. I don't know if Xcode needs to be running because I know that was an issue last time, but we have does it work? We have a mobile.love in there, which we don't want. So what we'll need to do is just build we need to pull our current game here. So get pull. That's wrong, right? Did we push? Did we just commit? Did we not push? Added help toggle. Yeah, okay, I think we didn't push. Okay, I just pushed. Okay. So we just zip it up. We'll zip it as that mobile.love or whatever, and then come in here and just drag and drop this onto our phone. Oi. We put the wrong collide function. I know, I'm feeling it, Warren. It's like, that's bad. I've got the plugin over here. I can do that. Collides is not the right function for the touch detection object. We have to see, oh, it is. Oh, it takes in a touch. Oh, it's on our touch detection object. That's where we messed up. So we got to come into our, where is it? It's in the callback. Okay, we need to check our D-pad 11 for a collides with the touch. Okay, that's what we need to do. So let's try to do that again. Oh God. Oh no. This is the only thing I don't like about Git Fugitive is if we screw the git commit message up here, it screws up the commit message when we push it. But we'll see. This should be swapped collides. Okay, it gave us the right commit message, so we might be okay. And you know what? We forgot to full screen it for the phone deployment, so we'll just do that real quick before we build. So we just pulled, and then we'll just full screen it. Okay, now we'll build this, and then we'll put this file on the phone and try it. Oh, check it. Nice. So yeah, exactly like I thought. If we drag up here and then collide with the select button, it doesn't trigger it. But if we just tap it, it goes and triggers it. So now we've got the help mode on touch, which is nice. Now we have to do something kind of similar with our sounds, because right now we put a sound playing on A, but we'll have to check. We'll have to only play the sound if the sound isn't already playing, which is Love2d's normal default for sounds. It's just that we need the sound to be able to play multiple instances at once, because if we collide, if our spell collides with multiple geckos, right, it might make more than one sound. It might make the same sound before that sound has finished. So we had to import a slam library to handle multiple instances of the same sound. But that comes around and bites us in the butt for something like this, where we say, if A is pressed, go ahead and play the sound. But it's the same issue where it's like it's constantly being pressed, so the sound is constantly coming out. So, you know, instead of clogging down, and this is what I kind of want to do, is like, you can imagine it's like, oh, well, now we can just clog down our callback for the was pressed for a start button also, or for a B button, or for an A button, or for all these. And we don't want to do that. I don't think that makes a lot of sense. So I don't know if it's okay to leave the select in the callback there for the touch pressed. I'll probably just have to, you know, as we develop more, I'll probably just get a better feel for like what's better designed for the structure of the game like that. But this is pretty sweet. Now I am curious, and maybe we'll try this. I'm curious if we can change the window resolution while the game's running. So we're using a window width and a window height variable to resize our screen. But I'm curious if we could, for example, if we could if start opened up an options menu, and then you could come in here and toggle through and say like, oh, I want the Game Boy filter on or off, right? So that we can say, if you're on desktop but you want to see the Game Boy style, whatever, you can toggle that on. And then if you accidentally toggle it off on mobile or whatever, that you'd have the ability to come back and toggle it on, because you can't play without. Actually, you would get stuck. If you're on mobile, you would get stuck because there's no way to pull up the start menu. We might have to add if you touch the center of the screen or something, pull up the start menu if it's full screen, or just not allow. Maybe the builds we do for the mobile deployment just doesn't have the toggle switch for the Game Boy, because you have to have the Game Boy on. So we'll probably do that. So let's test if we can resize our global window width and height, so that we could potentially toggle our Game Boy UI here and see if that screws anything up, see if it works. I don't know if we can even do that. So let's try. Okay. So what we can do is come into where I think it's in the play state. See, and this is wrong. We're not using this. This is the title screen. Yeah, we don't even have a title screen for the game yet. This is just some stuff that we just have in here for when we get around to it. But where is the... I swear we have an H pressed in the play state. It's how we're toggling help. Maybe it's in... we did delete it. Okay. Okay, we messed up, because now we can't delete the game. Now we can't toggle the game on desktop because we took out this ternary operator for the play state. And then it does get a little annoying because, like, now that we're over here, let's see if it's full screen or not. Oh, it isn't. Okay, so that's nice at least. Okay, so H is working on desktop. So we want to do something similar, like let's say If another key was pressed, we want to just swap our window resolution between two different variables. Like, I don't know if this is even possible, but if G is pressed, we'd want to come in here and change our window width to be equal to, let's just say 100, and see if it changes anything. Huh. It did change that. It changed like how far the red was rendering. So it did change something. If we take a look at our constants, see, we've got a window width and window height. I wonder if there's like a push refresh or something that we can call here, because it is updating the window height variable, but it looks like push doesn't know that there's a new window height to scale it to, or window width to scale it to. So maybe there is a push refresh function or something that we can do. I don't know if there's a way to do it. Where is... We just want the documentation here. I'd want to do... It would want to be like refresh or something. Resize. Yeah, maybe that. Maybe we can call resize. In order for push to take into account the sizing, you have to set resizable to true, and then you can call push resize. And then push resize, we would just say okay, no, this is a little different. We've got this. Nice, Katron. Keep it up. Keep it up. We already have this resize, and it's let's try to do it. Let's just try to do it and see what happens. Because we've already got that defined, so I think it's like love.resized gets called as a callback whenever it's resized, and then that'll defer push and then resize it. But I don't know if changing the variable that push does will actually resize it. So let's try to go into, in our main, we'll have to reset resizable to true. And then it, I think we have, look, we have that same push resize already. So I think just what that means is love resize gets called whenever it is resized, and we're just saying to push resize with the width and height. And I guess that width and height is coming from, gosh, where is it coming from? I think we did this wrong. Let's see. If we just resize it. Okay. Okay, so let's try See, but the thing is, yeah, we don't want to use this one. We want to use the push resize when we toggle the thing. So we want to say in our play state here, we will resize using our global variables here. So let's see if that changes our width. It did work. It did work. Now we're not doing our scale factor. So like, it is smaller than we thought. So if we come in here, you know, our 160 scale factor. So look, what we can do is say 160 times scale factor. But if we're trying to toggle the Game Boy off, we want, the width is fine, we want to change the height. So if we want to change the height, our height is this times 2, and we would just not times 2 it if we wanted to turn the Game Boy off. So let's try it to toggle the Game Boy. It'll only work to turn it off, but it's not working. Window width, window height. Oh, we want to not multiply it by 2. So yeah, let's try this. Okay, so toggle the Game Boy, and shit. It did take our window height down. Oh, it's this virtual height also. This virtual height Game Boy. Because where we're using this virtual height Game Boy, we're using this as the virtual height. So we need to take that down too, so it gets the proper scaling, the proper aspect ratio for the scaling. So we would need to turn this down too. So let's go put this back here, oh gosh, as not times 2, and then it should work. We'll see. Shit, man. I thought that would work. I thought it would work. Window height. Would we give it the virtual Game Boy height here? I think that's going to be extra jacked up. Yeah. Okay. It's almost like we need to reinitialize push with the correct variables. So we might just have to just reset up push upon this being touched. I don't know if that is weird or forbidden. But let's do this where we set the virtual height to be the new virtual height and the window height to be the new virtual height. So let's try that. There we go. Okay. That's I don't know how that's gonna work on mobile, but I guess on mobile we're gonna be turning it off anyway. So we want to do, basically we want to toggle it back and forth, right? So we need to be able to check, hey, if window height is equal to its initial window height, swap to the new window height. If it's the new window height, swap it back to the old, and then reinitialize it all together. Either way. So if window height is equal to the old window height, which I'm sure we gotta do this better. Let's just test it if it works. So we're going to say, if we're the old window height, go ahead and assign window height to be equal to the new window height. And then if we're not the original window height, go ahead and set us back to the original window height if G is pressed. And then also set this right here and set it back to its original position if not. So let's try that. Trying to just get toggling down for swapping back and forth from the Game Boy mode. Okay, it looks a little jacked up. I think that's just a byproduct of resetting up the screen. So maybe there is another thing, because I think the push setup is what's really screwing this up. I am kind of curious if this will work on the web, because it looks kind of jacked up, right? I don't know if that'll work on the web. Let's see if it works on the web deployment. Okay, we'll try this. And I don't know how resizable being true, we probably should have switched that back to false, but let's see here. Okay, we pulled our changes. Let's run our build process to give us the proper files. And then we'll redeploy to our website very easily like this. No whammies, no whammies. Shit, we got some whammies. Literally just re-upload when you get whammies and it works fine. Okay, well, let's see. If we're here, we go to the website. G pressed. Wow, it works. So the push resize looks a lot better on desktop here, but like the idea is, and we can probably change it, right? So it's like if you're playing on desktop, maybe you want it just like this, because you don't need the buttons, because you're playing, you don't need to see the D-pad and the buttons on mobile here. But if you wanted to, you could turn it on, and like right now G turns it on, but what we would want is you would go into your settings or whatever and turn it on in the UI somehow. So on desktop, we would need an equivalent of a start button to go into your options. I don't know if there's a better way to do this than to reset up our push screen. I don't know. I was hoping that there was like a refresh push that would just refresh whatever the current setup was, but the documentation didn't really show that. So at least this is working. It's nice to know that this is possible. And maybe what we'll do is, because you can't touch G on mobile, if G is touched, we'll also change our scale factor to be maybe 3 or 4 so that the game is bigger, right? So that if you're playing on desktop, it's not this tiny. So like, let's just try to get that working and turn our resizable off, because right now, well, yeah, I don't know how resizable works with the Love2 with the Love.js deployment. How much better are we at? 5. We could do it. We could do it. We could do it. We'll just lock it there and then we'll try it. So we'll try to do if G is pressed, instead of taking it down, how would we do this? We want to change our scale factor is what we want to do. Because right now our scale factor is 2. And that's fine for mobile, but not fine for desktop. So if you're on desktop and you toggle off the Game Boy stuff, and I'll have to do some experimentation about, like, if we can set the push screen size dynamically based on the device width, because on my phone, I've got a tiny little iPhone SE, but if someone's got like a tablet, maybe it makes sense for it to be sized a bit bigger. So I'm curious if there's a way to kind of dynamically size the canvas based on the device setting, and I don't know how to do that, especially with the web deployment. Like, I feel like it would be easy enough to target different apps on the actual builds, but on the website build is trickier. So if the scale factor, basically if we are here, we want our scale factor to be changed to 4, and then otherwise we want our scale factor back to 2. So let's see if that works for our resize. No, it doesn't. Oh, well, we would have to also change our window height by our scale factor, right? Window width. What is our window width set? Okay. And then we would want to reset our window width based on the scale factor too. Let's see if that works. Nice. And then it's just this tiny because on the web deployment, it needs to be that tiny to fit on my phone at least. So, until we figure out the device get dimensions and stuff, we might have to play around with this. But the fact that we can use push to resize in-game is really nice. That means that we can toggle this menu from a menu in-game if we wanted to, because that's essentially all we're doing. So, yeah. Let's see what this looks like. I'm curious if we can... I do want to turn off resizable. And I'm curious if we don't have to include these other options. I'm curious if we can just leave these out, if it would still work. It does. Okay, because yeah, we don't want to reassign the values that currently are in there. We just want to do this. Okay. So let's commit this and let's see how it looks like on desktop deployment. So we'll say resizing canvas for non-Game Boy UI. Okay, let's try it. I love that now if we want to build it to our website, it's pretty easy. We git pull, we run build, and then we upload. It's like that easy, and then it's live on the site. No whammies. Sweet. So let's see. Okay, so it loads default to the Game Boy, but if you hit G, then you've got the bigger screen and you can play. Sweet. Cool. All this little stuff is just handy to test now, before we get too deep into this. But as far as I can tell, everything we need to work is working on the web deployment. So this is really cool. And then you can't toggle this non-Game Boy version on touch because it has to listen for a key press, which you can't do on touch as far as I'm concerned. So this will work on the touch device as normal, and we can toggle help, which is nice. Sweet. So I think this is where I'll wrap it up for tonight. I'm just sleepy, but tomorrow I'll be back, and I think we'll either try to get slam sounds to render only once, to play only once, if they're not already playing, at least in terms of the A button press, because there are certain times where we do want the sound to play more than once, and that's the reason we included slam in the first place. But we also, I think we might start implementing the inventory system here soon too. So because we need I think it would be nice for the demo or for the channel trailer that I've been saying I'm going to film, if you could be holding the element of the spell that you're casting, or be holding the loot for the loot minigame or whatever. So you can only toggle the loot system, and that's the other thing. It's like right now, loot system is toggled by pressing L. But the touch device doesn't have an L button to toggle the loot. So if we were to add the little inventory system and you assign loot to your B button, then when you press B, it'll toggle the loot or something like that. I'm going to have to think about how that works, because we've got a lot of things to fix with the loot system, going from 8 keys to Game Boy keys, right? So we're going to have to rehaul that. And I think at least getting the inventory system kind of in place, which is like, can we just toggle things to our B and A button at the very least? Then we can start to decide what the changes are to the key press mobile presses for the loot minigame, because that we need to figure that out, because that's a big part of the game. And then if we're confident with that, then we can go full steam ahead. And we've got a deployment pipeline for not only Mac, Linux, and Windows, but for iOS, Android, and the web, which is just nuts. So that's really cool. That's one reason I really love Love2d, is because it's open source and we're able to do cool stuff like this. So all that being said, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll raid out here, probably to Quellis, since he stopped in the other day. We'll just raid out. I hope everyone has a good night, and thanks for watching.